Thank you, John, for that amazing introduction. And it's so nice to be greeted by all of our friends outside. It's less than I'm used to. So that's quite nice. Ollie, you're doing a wonderful job as CEO of Turning Point UK. So give it up for Ollie, everybody. For those of you that have not heard this story before, I started Turning Point USA when I was 18 years old in the heartland of America, in the suburbs of Chicago, Illinois. Instead of going to university and instead of going to college, I persuaded my parents to allow me to take 6 months off to go start an organization that I believed would revitalize America on college and high school campuses. I had no money, no connections, and no idea what I was doing. And as I like to say, only in America could a kid with no money and no connections and no idea what he was doing take a risk and grow an enterprise that is now present in the States on 1,400 high school and college campuses across the country. Thank you. Well over 150 people on staff, reaching tens of millions of people on digital and social media every single day. And so we host an annual event every single year in West Palm Beach, Florida, that started in kind of a closet with 100 students, maybe 100 students 4 or 5 years ago, that has now exploded to well over 3,500 to 4,000 student leaders and activists. And so I was approached by Ollie and many others that came down to this amazing event shortly after our kickoff here, saying we really want to get Turning Point UK officially going. And I, to be honest with you, never envisioned that what I started in a garage in the heartland of America would grow globally. But as I think of it more, it actually makes sense, because what the left is trying to do is indeed global. It is not concentrated in a singular country or a singular part of Earth. Instead, they are trying for a fundamental deconstruction of the values that we hold near and dear. The ideas of sovereignty, of borders, of private property, freedom of speech, of individuality, the ideas that built Western civilization. And I see what's happening here in the UK, and there's so many similarities to what's happening in America. And so I get asked all the time, people say, well, Charlie, how do you explain the Brexit fumble over the last 3 years? So for those that don't know what a fumble is, in American football, it's when you drop the ball, okay? And football is the one, not your football. Anyway, so let's say the Brexit mix-up, let's call it that way. That's a nice term for it. It would be the equivalent of Donald Trump winning the election and Hillary Clinton getting inaugurated 3 months later. That's the argument that I make, that the elites have tried everything they possibly can to thwart the will of the people of this great country. And Nigel, you deserve so much credit for your perseverance and for your vision, because both of our great countries have embedded elites in what we call the deep state in America. People that don't care what the people think. Instead, they're going to do what the corporatists want and the globalists want. And Nigel understood that just because the ballot referendum was favorable in the summer of 2016, it didn't mean the fight was over. And he never let his guard down. Nigel, throughout the whole process, said they're going to do everything they possibly can to delay and not actually execute the will of this great country. And so you look at that similarity between America and the UK, it seems as if the working class, the middle class, the people that are worried about their culture being under attack, both from within and external, they're looking for vessels of leadership, like Nigel Farage and the Brexit Party, or Donald Trump in America. Because there's common themes. In America, we call it the hollowing out of middle America, that the middle class workers that built steel plants and were working in trade and manufacturing, people that actually might have been labor voters in this country traditionally, feel as if they didn't leave labor, but labor left them. We hear this all the time in the States, that they didn't leave the Democrat Party, but the Democrat Party left them. And this presents a great opportunity for those that want to revitalize the nation state, not around the idea of a failed European experiment where you're more subject to Brussels than to your own sovereignty, but instead that Britain and the United Kingdom can be the leader in Europe again, that Brexit can be a tremendous positive, and the same can be said for the United States. They fear nothing more than a successful Brexit, because if the United Kingdom can do it successfully, what's to follow after that? All their plans of destroying national sovereignty will be put in jeopardy. And so it's so fitting to now have Turning Point UK growing at the pace that it's growing. I have to say, this is a tremendous showing. It really is. And Ollie and the whole Turning Point UK team deserve such credit for that. And here's, absolutely. And here's one thing that we know to be true, and I've been doing this for 7 years. Whatever happens on college campuses, whatever happens in the university, will soon happen in the halls of Parliament or in the halls of Congress or in corporate boardrooms. The fight for the culture and the future of your country is happening right now on university campuses. I had the opportunity to tour some of them just a couple months ago. We went to Nottingham, we went south, we were all over the country. And we've had packed audiences, and the Turning Point UK team did such an extraordinary job, and we've reached millions of people on the videos thereafter. And I can tell you that it's not that students in this country, just like in America, are opposed to our ideas, is that they're not exposed to them at all in the first place. That what Turning Point UK is now going to be able to do is to be able to What Turning Point UK is going to be able to do is liberate the conversation, give students permission to be able to advocate for the ideas of a nation state and sane immigration policy and markets and lower taxes and less regulation and not being accountable to Brussels and Strasbourg, but instead be able to have a revitalized country and a middle class that has elected officials that work more for them than for the external elites. And students are starving for this opportunity, and I saw it firsthand. And so, similar in America, when I have students that will say, Charlie, when you come and speak, you're saying things that I've never heard a university professor ever say. And as I like to say, the left hates the idea that there are other ideas. If they had their way, they would shut down Nigel Farage instantaneously as someone who is spreading hate. They don't want to have debate and dialogue and discussion. The ideas of John Locke and Edmund Burke and Adam Smith. Thank you for that Scottish Enlightenment stuff, by the way. It's been very, very helpful. We've been implementing it very well over the last 200 years. The ideas of Western civilization, they don't want that. They would rather have a singular point of view. They have a monopoly over minds. And what Nigel represents, and this whole Turning Point UK movement represents, is the greatest threat to monolithic thinkers all across this country and all across Western civilization. And for free minds to be able to succeed in this society, you need infrastructure. And this is what the left has done so well. Because everyone in this room held these beliefs before tonight. You held these beliefs probably a year ago. But what Turning Point UK is going to be able to do is house those ideas, have staffing around those ideas, be able to host events around those ideas, have targeted goals and aims and objectives around those ideas. How many times do you think that protest outside just happens? They have infrastructure. They have paid organizers. They have call sheets. They have accountability. And now, of course, we're much more decent than them, so we wouldn't dare do what they do, but the equivalent would be we'd host a debate or a dialogue or a discussion. These sorts of things take infrastructure. And that is what we've learned in the States. What started as just an idea and something that said, oh, all college kids are going to be on the left, all college kids are going to be liberal, or in your country, all college kids are going to be labor. We saw a grassroots movement catch like fire across America that has proven the elites to be incorrect in the media and academia and in culture. And as many of you know, we proved them all wrong in 2016 when all the polls said that there's no way that this president would get elected. And of course, that was proven incorrect. And so what an amazing political time you're living in right now. There's a lot of uncertainty, but everyone in this room should have amazing optimism because this organization is going to play a fundamental role in shaping the entire conversation. And one thing that I learn about youth organizations and youth movements is that's where the energy is. That's where the enthusiasm is. And if you do not compete on that terrain, you might as well cede the entire political future of your country. You might as well hand the keys to labor and say it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when you're going to take over our country. And that's why they're doing everything they can to demagogue the work that Nigel Farage and Turning Point UK is doing. If they weren't out there protesting, all of you should be worried. If they weren't out there protesting, that would be a reason not to support this or reconsider it. The fact that they're doing this on a beautiful summer day in London shows that they see what this organization is going to do as a threat to their power. And so I just want to say how impressed I am with the students I've had a chance to work with in Turning Point UK. Turning Point UK is a franchise of Turning Point USA. It is separately governed. It is independently filed. We're nothing more than a sister organization and an alliance in the core ideas that built Western civilization. We're able to give best practices. We're able to do joint fundraisers. We're able to have joint events. But this is an organization that is UK inspired, UK run, and UK governed and UK financed. I am nothing more than a cheerleader and a fan and an advisor and hopefully a springboard for what is going to help save this beautiful and great country from the people on the left that want to see it go in the wrong direction. So thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it, and do everything you possibly can to support Turning Point UK and Ollie. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.